focused. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
October 31st.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our.
That's why she's my new producer.
Where we focus on
Right there, that right there.
developing our
Good.
solutions using our
Take a little burden off of me. Thank you, Ms. Josephine.
Rob coming today.
When you want to come run a show? That way I don't have to get here till later.
555-255-683. So
You
here's
might want to learn, man.
David W. Coleman and
Just
Robert
for a
Webb.
second.
Yo, what's happening? Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions. Our voices, 855-525-5683 is the number. No matter how you try, you still won't have these sexy dulcet tones. That's right. I'm Dave Coleman. Robert Webb, I think Robert is still in St. Louis. But he'll be back tomorrow. And of course, we'll talk. I got a lot of stuff to talk to you about. Want to remind you to go ahead and download the JoyNet Radio app so that you can carry us everywhere you go, and all the people that listen outside the state of Arkansas, you can carry us everywhere you go. If you miss the show, remember you got the podcast now. We upload the podcast on every show that we have right after the show. So if you miss any or part, or if you'd like to fast forward through the commercials, do that as well. You probably say, well, why don't you just take the commercials out? See, if you're an advertiser, that's a benefit for you. So you can advertise on this show. And I don't even delete the commercials out of there. So just be aware of that. I'm probably going to start doing that. But right now I don't. Okay. So I just run the full show. So go out and download the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever podcast platform that you're on, you can find Black Focus Radio. And it's just that. Also, we are on IG for you old folks that don't know what that means. That's Instagram for you young folks who understand that. So now you can catch that. We are now streaming live on YouTube and Twitter as well. So we're doing that as well. And of course, Facebook, where we get a lot of people listening every day. But we still would like for you to go out and download the podcast if you don't mind. Okay, because that helps the station statistics. All right. As I said, 855-525-5683 is the number. Let's go ahead and christen the show with Black Facts.
Dynamic Black Facts. Our culture, our history, our people.
This Black Fact is specifically for Black women. I've told you all over and over again that white women have always stood on the backs of Black women. They did it during slavery. They did it during Reconstruction. They did it during the Black Codes and Jim Crow. And they continued throughout the 60s during the Civil Rights era. And they continue it today as they manipulate Black women to become feminist. When in fact, they really don't give a damn about the causes of Black women. Case in point, let's go back to 2016 and remember that 53% of white women voted for Donald Trump. The name of this article is How White Women Benefited from Standing on the Backs of Women of Color. An article in Slate takes an unflinching look at how white women have benefited in the workplace from the sweat of Black and brown women. In Rethinking Work-Life Balance for Women of Color, Kimberly Seals Ehlers makes the case that many of the gains made by white women in the workforce, including the quest for work-life balance, would not have been achieved without Black and brown women relieving them of domestic burdens. Throughout history, white women have used the labor of women of color to reduce their own domestic burden and free themselves up for corporate and civic pursuits. Simply put, the labor of Black, Hispanic, and Asian American women has raised white women's standard of living. Seals Allers notes that since the 20th century, Black women have held jobs in greater numbers than white women. As early as 1900, 26% of married Black women were employed compared to only 3.2% of white women. She points out that much of this work by Black women was domestic. We breastfed your babies, we raised your children, we cleaned your houses, we did your laundry, we cooked your food, she writes. Seals Allers also mentions that even today, women of color still make up the largest portion of domestic workers. Despite the symbolic relationship between Black women domestic workers freeing white women to stake a claim in corporate America, a significant pay gap still exists between Black and white women, as Seal Allers demonstrates. Currently, Black women are paid on the average 21% less than white women. While the call for work-life balance has been part of the feminist movement, the lack of intersectionality in that movement has been fiercely criticized. Writing for the mic, Marjorie Roman Sanbrier echoes a common sentiment about the feminist movement. I'm talking about native English-speaking, upper-class, educated women. They're the only group of women for whom feminism seems to have any relevance or long-term benefit. That has always been the case, but feminism has become increasingly whitewashed and richer since the movement's inception 50 years ago. The Black versus white feminist conflict even made its way into California Women's March planned this January. The event organizers canceled the event, noting a lack of participation for women of color. NBC News reports, up to the point the participants have been overwhelmingly white, lacking representation from several perspectives in our community. A post on the march's Facebook page read, "Instead of pushing forward with crucial voices absent, the organizing team will take time for more outreach." The same controversy afflicted the Women's March last January. Black Enterprise writer Caroline Clark wrote about Black women's reactions to the march at the time, after she attended. Headed home on the train, I caught another Black woman's eye, and we both smiled. "Wasn't it great?" I said, assuming she'd march. She shook her head. "White women got us into this mess, and now they want to march? Not me. Oh, right. I thought the election's exit polls so shocking. I knew them by heart. 94% of Black women voted for Hillary. In fact, the majority of all women voted against Trump, except white women, 53% of whom voted him in. This is an undeniable allyship that Black women feel when it comes to white women's fight for equality. Perhaps that is why, in concluding her article, Seals Allers demands white women must openly acknowledge the role of women of color have played in their advancement and to make sure all are included at the discussion table for new policies, innovative businesses, and creating a paradigm shift. You can read that entire article on Slate Magazine, and that is our Black Fact for today.
Black Focus Radio for more dynamic Black facts, our culture, our history, our people on JoynetRadio.com.
And if you would like to sponsor Black Facts, you can call me up at 615-554-0568 or call the station at 855-525-5683. Now, it's best to just call me and I'll put together a great ad package for you. Now, let me expound on this article just a little bit. Remember the story that I told you about meeting the young lady who had worked for the Kamala Harris campaign? And one of the arguments that she made was this. She started talking about the pay gap between men and women. You get this, right? Look, I tell you all, y'all need to read a little bit. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit today too. Okay? Because I posted a meme that a lot of people are responding to. But let me just stick with this for a moment. The young lady one of her main arguments in supporting Kamala Harris was the fact that women were making less money than men. And if you remember, I believe it was Thursday or Friday that I broke out the statistics that showed that the pay gap between black men and black women, as opposed to white women and white men, is still significantly low. Okay? So here, it says that black women are paid 63% on the dollar earned by white men. Black men are only paid 75%. But she had her panties in a wad because she was claiming that men make more money than women, when in fact, I knew the statistics and quoted them to her, that black men don't make that much either. And instead of dividing us by black men and black women, we should be working together. But the point of this is that when you talk, and I've said over and over again, that there is no such thing as a black feminist. You are being duped. And this article makes the point. By the way, read the article. It's written by a sister. You are being duped. You're arguing, you're fighting for white women. You're not fighting for black women. You make 63% on the dollar. What you should be doing is joining black men and fighting the wage gap inequality. But what did you say? Oh, because I'm a woman, I'm going to join white women. Down through the history, white women have always stood on the backs of black women. You heard me read the article. Now, all of a sudden, they need black women to push their agenda, but what they're doing is leaving black women behind. If white women were so concerned about black women's agenda, why aren't they joining in the Black Lives Matter marches? Bradley Blackshire's, there was a hearing this morning. How many white women was down there today to support Bradley Blackshire's family and his mother? There's no such thing as black feminist. You may think there is, but you are doing nothing more than pushing the white woman's agenda, which is nothing more than white supremacy. Sorry, don't get mad at me. I know y'all get upset when the truth comes at you. I ain't trying to speak no truth, I'm just speaking. And if it comes out as truth, then don't believe me, accept it. I just gave you the statistics. I gave you the statistics last Friday. Black men make 75% on the dollar to white men. Black women make 63%. Now, if your argument is, well, you still making more than me, that's a specious argument at best. What we ought to be doing is joining together and working together to make sure that both black men and black women make the same amount of money as white men and white women. But you know what this is, right? This is the old ploy of divide and conquer. Because if I can control your women, I can control your race. Hello? Woo! You get that, right? If I can control your women, I can control your race. Let me explain. What did they do to strong black men during slavery? They usually killed them. So quite often, slave mothers, black mothers, would try to have their sons to de-emphasize their masculinity Don't be so strong. Don't be so tough. So massa wouldn't kill you. So she would teach her son to be subservient. Now, what's my point? Mothers are usually the first teachers. So if white supremacy controls mother will teach her children to obey white supremacy. So how do I get mother to teach her children to obey white supremacy? I get rid of the man. Hello? Can you say prison industrial complex? Y'all follow me yet? So again, there is no such thing as black feminism. You are being duped. You are being fooled. There should only be one, and that's black power, black empowerment. That's the only thing that black men and black women and those who have of like minds of other races ought to be fighting for. Because white feminists don't give a damn about black people. They really don't. But they need you to put color in their movement. They need you. They need your great oratory skills. They need your great organizational skills. They need your great fundraising skills to push their white agenda forward while they leave you behind. Your number one argument should be with white feminists is that, hey, we want to make money, the same amount of money you making. Hello? We want to make the same amount of money that you making, and then we can start making the same amount of money that white men make. But right now, let's get our pay gap up to women versus women. Hello? Don't want to do that, do you? I know some of y'all mad at me now because I said that. Go read the article. That's all I'm saying, folks. I've been begging you now. We've been on this show for almost 5 years. I've been begging you all to read. I've been begging you all to put down the TV remote control, turn off the PlayStation, stop watching Power and all that other stuff, and re-educate yourselves. Every one of you have access to a computer now. It's called a telephone. Instead of burning up your data watching stupid stuff, burn up your data re-educating yourself. You have the capacity to do so, but you simply won't do it. And that's why our community continues to get ran roughshod over. 855-525-5683 is the number. You know, I told you there was a meme that I posted that I've been getting a lot of response from. Okay? There are a couple of them. Here's one by Dr. John Henry Clark. The Europeans not only colonized the world, they began to colonize information. I read this yesterday about the world and its people. In order to do this, they had to forget or pretend to forget all they had previously known about the Africans. Hello? But see, they can't do that anymore now. You know why? Because of that little thing called the computer that you carry around with you every day. If you want to know, it's there. I've told you all multiple times that when I get, for instance, I got a new iPad. I'm not an Apple person. I don't have an iPhone. I don't really care to use an Apple. It was gifted to me. So I had never used an iPad before. So what did I do? And I barely had it a week. In fact, I haven't even had it a week. I've had it 4 days. You know what I did? I went out to YouTube and typed in, how do you use an Apple iPad? Now I'm pretty damn proficient. I'm simply saying anything you want to learn, you can learn it. You want to learn the stock market? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you may not be educated. It doesn't matter that you may not be a stockbroker. You can learn the stock market. I read an article a month ago where this guy had been in prison. And while he was in prison, and by the way, this was a black guy. So don't tell me that black people don't have the capacity to learn. While he was in prison, he studied the stock market. When he got out of prison, he began to invest. He is a multi-millionaire now. It's about wanting to change your circumstances. I'm telling you right now that I'm going through something in my personal life where I'm changing my circumstances. I'm re-educating myself on some things where I can make some money. You feel me? This is what we got to start doing now. They're even telling you now, if you're letting your child camp out with a iPad or some type of electronic reading device, statistics are showing that those kids are doing poorly when it comes to tests, as opposed to kids who actually read books. So what you got to do is mix the two in. Don't believe me. Just look, the stuff I learn, the stuff I talk about on this show is stuff I read. It's stuff I read. I prepare for this show every day, looking for stuff that would be interesting, looking for stuff that will be truthful, looking for stuff that will uplift your mind to make you a better person by listening to this show. What I want you to be able to do is when you listen to Black Focus Radio, that you come away just a little bit smarter. Or you say, hey, I learned something. My biggest thrill is when I get comments from people who say, I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, that black fact was awesome. I didn't know that. And then you find that there are my listeners who shares information with you as well. I'm just saying, folks, we have got to do a better job. Excuse me for a minute. We've got to do a better job in uplifting ourselves. It is no more of that, oh, well, they didn't do anything for me. Now, don't get me wrong. We want our fair share. But you've heard me say over and over again, the charter school thing, that horse is out the barn. What black people ought to be doing is saying, okay, let's put our monies together and let's open our own schools. And it doesn't have to be a charter school, because I'm going to read you some information later on about how millions of dollars are being spent on charter schools and they're failing. And it's directly related to Arkansas, because here Arkansas is just now getting into the charter school game and it's failing. It's failing. So all I need you to do is start opening your mind. All I need you to do, don't do it because David Coleman said it. Do it because it will uplift you. Your bones may get old, but your mind doesn't. In fact, the more you read, researchers tell you that if you keep your mind active, the odds of you becoming an Alzheimer's patient, it reduces. I tell you all the time that once I stop learning, I might as well be dead. Let me read this meme to you. Black people don't read. Let's be real. Most black people simply refuse to self-educate and have become totally opposed to research. Trying to get black people to read anything besides Facebook memes and celebrity gossip will take the use of a gun in most cases. The black race is behind other races because of the refusal to read and gain useful information. So can you please stop ignoring this fact? Being uninformed is not sexy. Let me just read that last line again. Being uninformed is not sexy. I don't care what your body looks like, sister. If you don't have anything between your ears, I can't do nothing for you. I don't care how fine you are. I don't care what type of reputation you have. I don't care if your hair comes down to your butt. It doesn't matter to me. If I can't have a conversation with you other than what happened on Empire or Power or Real Hoes of Atlanta or some other reality TV show, then I can't do it. And the sad thing about it, many of you be watching these shows and have your children sitting up there right beside you, mimicking you. And you wonder why they're failing in school. Don't get mad at me. Y'all get mad at me a lot now, so stop. Don't get mad at me. Don't get up. Did you get up? I don't do it. Not good. I'm just simply saying, folks. I read that meme because so many people have been responding to it. We've got to change. We have the capacity to change our own dynamics. We just need leaders to start talking about it. We need our ministers to start talking about it. We need our civic leaders, our black civic leaders, to start talking about it. This mantra should be on the lips of every person who claims that they want to lead black people out of economic bondage and political bondage. We must do for ourselves. That's why that slogan, "Make America Great Again," is so comical to me. It was comical from the first day that I heard it. Because America has never been great for the black man. And the way we've been going is never going to be great for the black man unless we change our dynamics. Unless we change our mindset, our way of thinking about how we look at ourselves, how we look at one another, and how we support one another. You know, yesterday I've posted a couple of picture sets from Miss Universe. You know, Miss Universe is from South Africa, and as I look at her, I marvel at her beauty. Her name is Zozibini Tunza. Zozibini Tunzi. I love that name, Zozibini. Now, she goes by Zozie for short. Now, some of y'all need to name your daughter Zozie. That's a real name. Don't make up one. See, if you really knew yourself, you wouldn't be making up names for your children. You'd be educating them and naming them after great Africans. But as I looked at Zozie, one thing jumps out to me. Well, actually, there are a couple of things. And I actually posted a photo set of her. But I posted another article where Miss Universe, on her special relationship with her dad. Oh, you know I love her. "I'm a daddy's girl," she says. So that thrilled me when I read that article. So then as I looked at her picture, you see, I see Zozie, and Zozie, she looks like me. Her complexion is my complexion. And when I look at her hair, It's natural. It's cut short. It's natural. She's drop dead gorgeous. She believes in who she is. But then, you know, Miss Universe, Miss America, Miss Teen USA, and Miss USA are all black women. That's power, folks. Now, what we've got to do is start turning our pain into power. You know what I'm saying? That used to be my slogan a long time ago. Because I didn't live a tough life, but I went through a lot of tough things. And I could either crumple up like one of them little roly-polies. Y'all remember? I don't see those little bugs anymore. But remember those little roly-polies that you used to carry around, and when you touch them, they'd roll up in a little ball and put their exoskeleton on the outside. And then when danger had passed, they come out of their little shell and keep going where they were going. That's what I used to do. You could either be a roly-poly, or you can come out of your shell and stand up. It's time for us as a black community to come out of our shell and stand up and be somebody. And we need our black women and we need our black men to work together. We came over here on the same ships. We slept in each other's urine and regurgitation and feces and afterbirth. We lived with each other. We protected each other. And now we get up and begin to worship the gods of a beaten enemy and we split apart. No. Again, there is no such thing as black feminism. And if you believe that there is, you've been duped. Sisters. 855-525-5683. We're going to go out and take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the Bradley Blackshire hearing that is over, and also how much of your money, your federal dollars, are being wasted on charter schools. I will tell you that it's an awful lot. And here comes Arkansas wanting to throw more money down a toilet. Johnny come latelys, that's what Arkansas is. Back in a moment. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. On joinetradio.com.
Business owners. Can I talk to you for a moment? How many people have come up to you and said, hey, I didn't know you had a business? Yeah, that can happen when you don't advertise. I have a solution for you. Advertise on joinetradio.com and let the world know that you're in business. I know what you're thinking. Advertising is so expensive. I've got a great package for you that will cut your expense and increase your bottom line. It's only $125 for startup and new businesses. Call me, David W. Coleman, 615-554-0568, and I'll put together a package specifically for your business. Now is the time to tell the world, hey, I'm in business. Come spend your money on quality goods in my store. Let us help you at joinetradio.com. Here's the number. Call me, 615-554-0568. We are here to assist you in building your brand.
Hi, I'm attorney Felix Thompson from the Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matter. Whether it's criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law, I want to help you. I can be reached at 501-503-5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney who's currently address is 415 North McKinley, Suite 710 in Little Rock. I'm Attorney Theodore Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here is my personal invite for you to join us for Christmas Unplugged.
I'm so glad that it's Christmas time. We celebrate Jesus.
December the 13th, 7 p.m. Thornton Broadcasting Studio, 1501 South Main, Florida.
This is going to be an acoustic a cappella set where people are going to come together and we're just going to enjoy.
Savage Brown, Amanda Catrice, and the main man, Tori DeLange.
This will be memorable. Make sure to join us.
December the 13th, 7 p.m. Thornton Broadcasting Studios, 1501 Main. Brought to you by the J.C. Love Morning Show.
Get your advance tickets right now. Go to the website, joininradio.com.
Serving the families of Clark County and the surrounding area since 1966, it's Mitchell Funeral Home. Understanding that a funeral is a celebration of life, the entire staff of Mitchell Funeral Home takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional service they offer. Cremations, funeral plannings, burial policies, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are a few of the services we offer. Mitchell Funeral Home, Arkadelphia, 870-246-2611. Mitchell Funeral Home. Quality you can appreciate, service you can depend on.
All right, welcome back to the show, Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. Hey, the bottom line, folks, is we need to get our arms around these politicians too, man. I'm telling you. I don't care if they are your friends. I don't care if you did grow up with them. Don't trust their asses. That's just kind of how I feel about it at this point. I got an interesting call too yesterday that I won't go into details. But if you know me personally, and the next time you see me, remind me to tell you about the call that I got yesterday. Okay? You really need to know. And I'm debating whether or not I'm going to disclose it. Let me just say this. That I believe in my journalistic integrity, okay? And what you share with me on this show is on this show, okay? Whether it's through these microphones on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, whatever medium that I use to promulgate this show, this is my media. And don't call me and ask me to delete anything. And I'll leave it at that. 855-525-5683 is the number. Well, don't want to get into these private. I tell you what. Let's go ahead and cover some other headlines. Because I want to talk about this school funding. But quickly, let's talk about the Bradley Blackshire hearing that took place for Charles Starks this morning to try and get his job back. You know, Charles Starks was the killer cop who executed Bradley Blackshire in broad daylight. He was surreptitiously fired, and then the firing was upheld by the Civil Service Commission. And because the state law says that they have a right to appeal it in court, that appeal began to take place this morning. The judge is not going to issue a ruling publicly. And neither will the attorneys be able to argue the case in front of the judge. They have to submit the case in the argument in writing by December 20th. So here's what's going to happen. This ruling is going to come down around the holidays where everybody is so caught up in the holiday issue that they're not going to pay attention to it. That's what's going to happen. Okay? That's what's going to happen. And I hate to tell you this, but Charles Starks, in all likelihood, and I'm hoping I'm wrong, I'm praying to the gods of all gods that I'm wrong, but don't be surprised if Charles Starks gets his job back. No, it's not right. But you know why Charles Starks is going to get his job back? It's because you have no political clout as black people. You don't vote on a regular basis. You don't fund campaigns. You don't use your money to benefit black people, so you have no clout. So they're going to do whatever they want to do to you until you figure out that I need to get some clout. And that doesn't mean having a seat at the table. Because we know a lot of black folks who are sitting at the table and all they're doing is sitting there. And as they pass the various dishes around, you know, the money for schools, the money for your community, construction money, as they pass those dishes around, you know how they reach over you and pass it to the guy next to you? The guy next to you happen to be white, but you got a seat at the table. That is the most overused and underutilized term in the American lexicon. You think because you have a seat at the table, that's going to benefit someone else? In all likelihood, you're there as a token to show, hey, black guy over there, black woman over there. Thanks, Russ. This show was the first source of the Blackshire homicide. I'm just simply saying, folks, I hate the fact that Charles Starks and and it ought to scare the hell out of every black person in this city. Now, whether they're going to reassign him to another area where he doesn't have to really encounter black people. There's nowhere in Little Rock you can go where you won't see a black person. I don't care where you live. Black people are all over this city. And Charles Starks is going to be a police officer again, potentially. I hope it's not true. But how can you as a black person in Arkansas, in Little Rock proper, if Charles Starks pulls you over, how can you trust him? Will you feel safe? Some of you okey-doke Negroes out there who say, well, you know, he should have did, Bradley Blackshire should have did what he was told. If Charles Starks pulls you over, if he gets his job back, are you going to be safe? Are you going to feel safe when you see Charles Starks? I know I'm not. And you're not either. But unfortunately, Mr. Starks is probably going to get his job back. That ought to be depressing. But you know what? Y'all don't care. The only people that care are the Blackshire's family and a few friends. If you cared, you'd have shut this city down. You'd have made it so economically painful that they wouldn't. Larry Jegley wouldn't have imagined not prosecuting Charles Starks. Larry Jegley is a Democrat. How many of you black folks out there voted for Larry Jegley? I'll wait. Damn near all y'all. You saw D beside his name and you voted for Larry Jegley. I told you all last week, I had already been suspicious that the Democratic and Republican Party in the state of Arkansas is one and the same. Mike Beebe melded them together. He pushed more Republican legislation than he did Democratic legislation. And then the Democratic Party refused to even run anybody in the governor's race. I mean, against Tom Cotton in the senator's race. No one in Arkansas was capable of running against Tom Cotton. So we're not going to run anybody. You just ceded that seat to Tom Cotton. For what, 6 more years? Where many consider, not just here in Arkansas, but across the country, one of the worst senators in the country. Larry Jegley. And from what I hear, that this morning, when he walks into the hearing, he's telling police or some police officer that he bought his son a graduation gift. Larry Jegley. See, you've been duped into believing that you have no power. So because of that, you do not exercise your power. And unfortunately, there are a lot of black people who say, I ain't gonna vote. What little power you have ceded it to those who do vote. Because you don't see any change immediately, all of a sudden it doesn't work. Well, look at what has been wrought upon you now. Donald Trump and his cronies. Asa Hutchinson and his cronies. But you know what? You didn't vote. They did. And by the fact that you didn't vote, your no vote was a yes vote for them. And you have black leaders, black community activists, who think they know what the hell's going on, who don't vote themselves. And will tell you not to vote. Hello? And don't have one damn solution to solve a problem. Not one solution. 855-525-5683 is the number. What are you going to do when Charles Starks gets his job back? Because he's going to get it back. I hope I'm wrong. But he's going to get it back. I'm letting you know it. Now the question is, how can you make this city know that you're going to make sure that we're going to be treated like human beings? Your dollars. Your kids going to Arkansas. Your kids going to Arkansas State. Your kids going to Ouachita, SAU, UAM, Harding, Henderson, Arkansas Tech. You want to hurt them? You don't have to lift a finger. You don't have to pull a trigger. All you got to do is close your wallets. But you're not going to do that, are you? Well, you're going to continue to get treated like crap. You got the power. I talk to you about it every day. But this is going to be a slap in the face of everybody who believes in justice and fairness. What are you going to do when Charles Starks pulls you over? You say you ain't going to do nothing because you don't even know who Charles Starks is. You don't even know what he looks like. In fact, you're not going to even take time out to read his badge name, are you? You just going to, yes, sir, Mr. Officer, yes, sir, yes, sir. Don't get mad at me. We need to do something about this. We need to quit resting on our laurels and thinking that everything is okay and everything is gonna get fixed. We need to quit all this. I'm gonna pray about it when faith without work is dead. If I pray to get a new job and I do nothing to get that new job, am I gonna get a new job? 99% of you will probably say no. The odds of an employer coming and knocking on my door and saying, Mr. Coleman, I heard your prayers. I'm going to give you a new job. Now, how much sense does that make? How much sense does that make? You tell me. It doesn't make any sense at all. And we've got a lot of people running around here, all they say is we're going to pray about it. And nothing is getting better. We got a few black folks who make money, who live in nice homes and drive nice cars and could give a tinker's damn about anybody else that looked like them, and they grew up in the same neighborhoods. In fact, instead of them saying, hey man, I just got this hot tip on the stock, they laugh at you. Hey man, let me show you how I did that. I ain't gonna show them nothing. And brag about the fact that they are the only black person that live in their white neighborhoods. And every day that they come out, their trash cans are turned over, or their cars are painted over, or they've got their lawns have been ran over by cars. Signs that white folks don't want you in their neighborhood. But you're going to stay. Because you're not trying to make a statement to white folks. You're trying to make a statement to black folks. To say, see, I'm black and I'm better than you. Hello. Say amen. I want to know I'm talking about you. If your lights are blinking, your lights are saying amen for me. We got to change our whole mentality, folks. And it starts individually. It starts with teaching your children about who they are. Every day in your house, you ought to have a Black History moment. Send your child, tell them to get on their computers and say, hey, look, every day I need you to give me a black fact. Talk to me about a black leader. And you might want to even categorize and say, okay, today I want to talk about black inventors. But if you don't want to be that specific, just say, hey, look, every day, your assignment to me, not to school, but your assignment to me, mama or daddy, is that I want a black fact every day. Educate me. Because, see, I believe that black children have to see other black people achieving in stuff other than football and basketball. I believe that. We got enough football and basketball players. We need doctors, lawyers, engineers, architects. We need all professions. And I believe that if we begin to show black people that they, in fact, can do that, that's part of the reason that I do the black facts. That's part of the reason that I love talking about black inventors and black doctors and all of those people. I love talking about the pyramids and talking about the number system and how it evolved through Africa and how were those Africans able to cut those large boulders to precise measurements. It wasn't aliens. That's what you ought to be doing to your children. Make them ask a question. You know, all kids go through this why stage. I think it's about 3 or 4. Every question you ask, and they ask you, you're answering. Then they'll say, but why? And you'll answer that question, and you'll say, but why? And then you'll answer that question, and then they'll say, but why? But why? And you know, it really begins to bug you and get on your nerves. You know, when my kids went through that stage, I tried to answer every question. And then if I couldn't answer the question, I'd say, hey, let's go look it up. Don't ever say, shut up. I'm tired of answering your questions. Answer them until you get sick and tired. And then you go and have them to look them up. My son would tell you and my daughter would tell you, they'd ask me questions once the internet became open to everyone. The first thing I'd say is Google is a wonderful tool. And I knew the answers to most of their questions. But I wanted them not only to understand that I needed you to know how to find the answer. This world is not given to anyone. You have to seek and you shall find. So I had to make sure that they understood that concept. So even though I knew the answer, and sometimes we would be on the road where we didn't have access to a computer, and they'd ask me a question, and I'd say, Google is a wonderful tool. Well, Dad, I don't have access to a computer right now. Well, when we get access to a computer, you can answer the question. And then when we get home or where we were going and you got access to a computer, they answered the question. We got to get involved, folks. Charles Starks is coming to a neighborhood near you. Are you ready? Are you prepared? Back in a moment. It's Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
Dahl provides our clients the personal care and attention that larger law firms cannot offer. Our experienced attorneys have brought hundreds of cases to verdict in state and federal court and recovered millions for our clients. If you or a loved one have been injured or have property wrongfully damaged, we may be able to help. Do not hesitate to contact our firm anytime for a free attorney consultation. Call 1-800-848-1290. That's 1-800-848-1290. Or email inquiries at arkansas-personal-injury.com. Our law offices are centrally located at 212 Center Street in Little Rock. That's the law offices of James F. Swindoll, personal injury and products liability attorney serving Arkansas since 1977.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas to connect with a family-owned and operated service provider in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of a life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected. 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we're needed. Call us now. Let's walk through this together. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
Hi, this is Alvin from Habibi's 4317 East Broadway in North Little Rock. We still have the green top at your very next stop. The same great service, but more of it. Give us a call, 501-663-1553 or 664-2992, or call our toll-free number, 1-877-HABIBI-1. Diapers, pull-ups, hospital beds, wheelchairs, Simply Fit, diabetic supplies, underpads, and more. Your durable medical supply center.
LeBron James is the greatest player we've seen this generation. You have to be careful when you start saying, and so when he wasn't as good as Mike, or he wasn't as good as Magic. Every generation you get that. You begin to sound like that old man that lives down the street, and every time you walk on his yard, and you even walk by his yard, he's on the porch, and he's got that little crooked finger, and he's like, get off my lawn! Daily Sports Magazine every Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. on JoyNetRadio.com.
Get off my lawn! You got it. He's Orthodox answer to your aggravation. The Joy Network.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
Welcome back to the show, Black Focus Radio, the second hour of the show, our issues, our solutions, our voices. JoyNetRadio.com. Remember, you can download the JoyNet Radio app so you can carry me everywhere you go. And also, if you miss any part of the show, you can download the podcast on your favorite podcast platform, wherever that is, whatever you use, you can go and check it out as well. Just simply go in there and type in Black Focus Radio. Someone sent me a text yesterday and said, hey, what's the name of the podcast again? Black Focus Radio. And you can get it everywhere you go. All right. So this hour, we're going to talk a little bit about a report that was released on charter schools. And again, money that they're pilfering from public schools to fund charter schools. And look, folks, you've heard me say it before, and I'm going to say it again. This is nothing but closeted racism. They don't want their children going to school with your children. Period. Let me say that again. They don't want your children, your black children, going to school with their white children. You know, because if they did, we wouldn't be having this problem with education. If all of the white flight came back to public schools, how much better would public schools be? How many resources would public schools have? But they don't want their children going to school with your children. Now, they'll accept 2 or 3 of them in your school, but they don't want 30%. They don't want 50-50. In the break, I was looking at a picture of the bed of Fred Hampton when he was assassinated on December 4th, 1969. By the way, he was asleep when police unloaded over 100 rounds into his apartment beside his pregnant girlfriend. Charles Starks has been around a long time. Now, Max Brantley published a great article the other day. It's called Report Details Federal Money Wasted on Defunct Charter Schools, including Arkansas. The Washington Post provided a summary of a new report detailing some $500 million of federal money wasted on charter schools that never opened or was shut down, including Arkansas. Michigan, home of the charter school advocate Betsy DeVos, the education secretary, was the biggest pit, according to Still Asleep at the Wheel by Network for Public Education, Diane Ravage's advocacy group for public schools. The study looked at 5,000 schools that received federal charter school program money between 2006 and 2014. It follows an earlier report on the waste of nearly $1 billion of federal charter money, a report that led to congressional restrictions on charter school spending. aside, if you think the charter school spending has been wasteful and too little education effect, wait and see what happens if Trump delivers on a promise to provide federal vouchers funding private schools. It's been an enormous boondoggle in Louisiana with handouts to schools that made education worse for thousands of students. More than 35% of charter schools that received federal money never opened or were shut down, the report says. In Arkansas, let's bring it home now. In Arkansas, the percentage was 48%, with almost $10 million spent on 41 grant recipients that are now defunct. Let me read that again. More than 35% of charter schools that received federal money never opened or were shut down. That's across the country. But in Arkansas, the percentage was 48%. So in other words, of all the charter schools that opened between, let me go back and get those dates, 2006 and 2014, 1 out of every 2 either did not open or was shut down. Do y'all understand this? You probably don't understand it because, see, y'all are not an educated populace. You all don't understand that number, do you? Let me try to make it clear for you, okay? Take 10 jelly beans. I'm not trying to be simplistic, but I need you to understand this because, see, politicians operate on the fact of your ignorance. So let's take our 10 jelly beans. Take one and put it in the open category and take another one and put it in the closed category. And when you get to 10, you're going to have half on one side and half on the other. So in other words, half of the charter schools that opened in Arkansas shut down. And cost taxpayers $10 million. Who's up for the accountability? That's reserved for the Little Rock School District forever. Oh, that's right. Little Rock doesn't have a school board. Did y'all see this? Did y'all see the game that they're playing here? Let's throw money at charter schools, but let's not have any oversight. And our buddies can rake in millions of dollars because, see, all charter schools is education for a profit. They want to make money off of education. They're not concerned about educating your child. They're concerned about the bottom line. That's what you do when you go in business. See, when you have a business, you are concerned about profit. You're not concerned about anything else but profit. Anything ancillary that comes out of that, so be it. But my main goal, if I'm in schools for profit, is to make sure at the end of the year, I made some money. So I'm going to scrimp and I'm going to skate on things that need to be done, like new textbooks. I'm going to serve you the worst lunches. I'm going to hire the worst teachers because I don't have to pay a certified person to teach in my charter school. So the money that a certified teacher would command, one that isn't certified, I save money. That helps my bottom line. The article notes, the federal charter program had bipartisan support for years. Now, let me stop right there for a moment. Because how many times have I told you that Democrats and Republicans are part of the same bird? How many times have I told you that a left wing and a right wing is part of the same bird? So these were Democrats who got on the charter school bandwagon. They weren't concerned about educating your children. They were concerned about helping their white constituents. But they asked for your vote, didn't they? I know they did. And they sold you down the river. Pun intended. The federal charter program had bipartisan support for years, but recently a growing number of Democrats have pulled back from the movement, citing the fiscal impact on school districts and repeated scandal in the sector. A number of Democratic presidential candidates have expressed concern about the lack of charter accountability in many states, and Senator Elizabeth Warren, who is running for the Democratic presidential nomination, has pledged to end the charter school program. Here are specific findings for Arkansas from the study. 18 grant recipients never opened. The listing includes so-called conversion charters operated by conventional school districts but freed up of many regulations that apply to other public schools. Can you say E-STEM here in Little Rock? This may have led to at least one error, I noted, inclusion of the academies of Jonesboro High among those not found on the state list of charter schools. It is a conversion charter in a public school district and still in operation according to the district website. But you'll see many familiar failures, such as the Covenant Keepers Charter School right here in Little Rock that dissolved amid academic and financial failure. You're still up on charter schools now, huh? And my question is, parents, are you paying attention? Are you paying attention? Because, see, I don't agree with some who say, well, parents got too much to do. No, you don't. Is it Thursday? And then what time does Empire come on? You say, well, I got to have some rest. I got all these kids. Well, you want your kids to grow up and be viable human beings in society? Then your life or your kids. That's men and women, father and mother. Maybe if you send that kid to daddy so he could babysit, then you'd have some time for yourself. Woo! Yeah, I was throwing shade. I don't care if you get mad at me. %48%. 48%. $9,970,000. That's how much money was wasted on charter schools right here in Arkansas. But Arkansas is just now getting on the charter school bandwagon. What makes Arkansas and anything that we've seen from this governor and that legislature does not give me any positive feelings about whether or not they will be able to do it right. Arkansas doesn't do much right when it comes to government, when it comes to supporting its citizens. So are we to believe that Arkansas is going to be able to pull the genie of charter schools out the bottle and wish positive? Wish positive feelings on charter schools? It's kind of like I feel about the casinos. Arkansas is just now getting casinos. How late are you? Arkansas is always the last. Everybody else is forward thinking, even Mississippi. Now, when Mississippi is beating you, you in bad shape. Remember, we grew up as you say, well, at least we ain't Mississippi. Now Mississippi can hire Lane Kiffin, and Arkansas got to hire what his name is. But the casino thing is classic. It is classic. Number one, casinos don't grow communities. That's the biggest lie out there. It just simply doesn't. Now, don't get me wrong. Hey, I got a blackjack game on my new iPad. I love me playing some blackjack. I do pretty good playing blackjack. I'm an adult. I do adult things. If you got a problem with gambling, well, that's on you. Should have had a problem when you were sleeping with that married man or woman or both. Ooh, zing! That's more shade. But now we get casinos. And they think people are going to be busting their tail down the highway to get to Pine Bluff, to Russellville. How much money do you think is in Arkansas? It ain't enough in the hands of citizens. Charter schools, man. This is ridiculous. These numbers just boggle my mind. Parents, do y'all know that? Do you know that the teachers at your charter school may not be certified? Did you know that? That's why they're failing. I remember reading an article that there were some colleges that were not accepting transcripts from some charter schools because they were saying their curriculum was not up to standard. Don't get mad at me. Now is the time. See, here's what's going to happen. Asa Hutchinson, he's going to, once this term is over, he's going to become a lobbyist for Walmart. Watch what I tell you. Walmart is padded his pocket. Don't get me wrong. I'm willing to bet you. He's from Bentonville. Where's Walmart? He's their number one flag standard bearer for charter schools. He lied in order to take over the schools here in Arkansas. He came up with false pretenses along with the Chamber of Commerce, along with some in the state legislature, along with many on the state board. They don't have your children's interest at heart. The only thing that they're concerned about is making sure Walmart makes as much money as possible. I saw something the other day that boggled my mind about Walmart, is that they actually had baskets where they were asking their patrons to donate food items for their employees because some of their employees were in need. Now, wait a minute. Walmart is the biggest company in the world. It is the richest. The Waltons are the richest families in the world. And you are asking patrons to donate money to your employees so that they could have a happy Thanksgiving because you don't pay them a decent wage. Over half of your employees are living in substandard housing. If Walmart was the only job that they had, they could not live and pay rent. And y'all want these people to take over your schools? If Walmart is not compassionate about their own employees, who the hell tells you that they're going to be compassionate about your children? Where are you getting this ignorance from? What bus are you on? Do y'all understand that? Walmart is not even compassionate about its own employees. And you think they're going to be compassionate about your child's education? The That is the most ludicrous BS I've ever heard in my life. Why can't you all see that? Why aren't you all upset? Parents, why aren't you calling the school board? Why aren't you calling your teachers and saying, hey, what can I do to help? What can I do to keep Walmart from ruining my child's future? Oh, that's right. You got to watch Empire tonight. You'll call after Empire go off, right? Oh, that's right, it's going off. She probably in bed now. I ain't going to call now. You want to change the school system? Stop blaming teachers. Blame yourself and get involved. Blame yourself and get involved. You can make changes to the system. Let me give you an example. We all believe that cops, there are a lot of bad cops out there. Part of the reason that this is becoming more and more prevalent as far as as far as them being exposed is because more and more people are getting involved and saying there are bad cops. They may not be saying it, but you know what they're doing? They're videotaping it. If it wasn't for some of the videotapes that have went around this country over the last few years to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt the dirt that cops do, some of you idiots out there would still be believing that cops are these wonderful people. But you know what? We don't know if a teacher is good or bad because y'all aren't involved. Y'all don't care to be involved. You box up your child's lunch, you ship them off to school, and you never call the teacher. Some of you all don't even know when they're getting report cards. Some of you all have never picked up that syllabus that the teacher sent home to you at the beginning of the year. That is your responsibility. That is not the teacher's. Healthcare is not the teacher's. Combing your child's hair is not the teacher's. But they do it all. And yes, I'm partial to teachers. Because I sit here today because of Mrs. Dusenberry, Mrs. Odessa Talley, Mr. Willie Page, that big ass paddle he used to have. Boy, come over here. Bend over. I'm just going to give you 3. Ow! 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 Next time I'm going to give you 5. After you got those 3, you didn't need the 5. You didn't need the 5 after you got them 3. I'm just saying, folks, we all have got to pull together now. It's clear now that we have politicians that are abdicating their responsibility, both locally, statewide, and nationally. It's clear now. When you have all of your representatives in the state of Arkansas vote against the Voting Rights Act, there's a problem. There's a problem. Because you know what? If they can take my vote, they can eventually take your vote. But you don't care because they just messing with the blacks. That'll keep us in power. Woo-hoo! We in power! Yeah! 855-525-5683. I just wonder, that money that Arkansas wasted, that money that Arkansas wasted, that $10 million, damn, what could you have done with $10 million in Arkansas? Wow, think about that. How many teachers could you have given a raise? I'm just asking. How many books could you have bought? I'm just asking. A few minutes ago on the show, it's called Black Focus Radio. We do it every day, Monday through Friday, noon to 2 p.m. By the way, I guess it's about time. Everybody's putting up their Christmas decorations. You know what I like to say? Happy Kwanzaa. Back in a moment.
law offices of James F. Swindoll provides our clients the personal care and attention that larger law firms cannot offer. Our experienced attorneys have brought hundreds of cases to verdict in state and federal court and recovered millions for our clients. If you or a loved one have been injured or have property wrongfully damaged, we may be able to help. Do not hesitate to contact our firm anytime for a free attorney consultation. Call 1-800-848-1290. That's 1-800-848-1290. Or email inquiries at arkansas-personal-injury.com. Our law offices are centrally located at 212 Center Street in Little Rock. That's the law offices of James F. Swindoll, personal injury and products liability attorney serving Arkansas since 1977.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here is my personal invite for you to join us for Christmas Unplugged.
I'm so glad that it's Christmas time. We celebrate Jesus.
December the 13th, 7 p.m. at the Thornton Broadcasting Studio, 1501 South Main, Florida.
This is going to be an acoustic a cappella set where people are going to come together and we're just going to enjoy.
Samaj Brown, Amanda Catrice, and the main man, Tori Delaney.
Silent night, holy night.
This will be memorable. Make sure to join us.
December the 13th, 7 p.m. Thornton Broadcasting Studios, 1501 Main. Brought to you by the JC Love Morning Show.
Get your advance tickets right now. Go to the website, joininradio.com.
Hello, my name is David Ashley, and I am the host for Real Talk, Real Money. We do this every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. We hope that you will join us. I want to talk to you about your children, how they can get free money for their education. I want to talk to you about you, how you can start over in your financial health. We want to talk it out. Let's try to figure it out. Real Talk, Real Money. Real Talk, Real Money every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Join in radio. Be there. Join us.
Hi, I'm attorney Theodore Thompson from the Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matter. Whether it's criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law, I want to help you. I can be reached at 501-503-5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney whose primary objective is to provide you with the best legal representation. Our office address is 415 North McKinley, Suite 710 in Little Rock. I'm attorney Theodore Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
I'm Arent. We invite you to join us for the Power of Justice broadcast every Tuesday and Thursday from 11 a.m. till 12 noon right here at JoyNet Radio Studios, where we talk about issues concerning civil rights, human rights, social justice, and all of the areas that impact civil rights and human rights in Arkansas, but also across the country. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend, every Tuesday and Thursday right here at JoyNet Radio, beautiful downtown Little Rock, Arkansas. We look forward to seeing you on the radio.
All right, welcome back to the show. We got about a little more than 25 minutes before we wrap up the Tuesday edition of Black Focus Radio. By the way, PLOTUS, the pathological liar of the United States, has received his articles of impeachment. That's great. Don't really care. I just like the fact that he's going to be impeached with his lying ass. Article 1 is abuse of power. I'm not going to read all of that. If you want to go out and read the specifics, I'm looking at CNN.com. Go ahead and read all that stuff. Obstruction of Congress is Article 2. So there are two articles. Hell, he's violated the Emoluments Clause. He's done a lot. And by the way, where are all those people who were willing to testify on behalf of Donald Trump? Where they be at? Where they be at, y'all? And I love the Republican argument that although he offered the money and withheld it, but the fact that he did go ahead and send it, there was no crime. And as I sat there and as I've watched much of this impeachment hearing, when that was said, and it may have been said because after a while, you just can't watch the Republicans. You can't watch them anymore. They are so out of the mainstream. What? You know what? I need some Republican dope. You know, they're legalizing marijuana all over the place, but I need to know if it's coming from a Republican state because these Republicans are on some fire. They on some fire, man. I don't understand them. I just don't, man. But here's the thing about this impeachment thing that I want to talk about real fast. I'm going to make sure I get this in since I put it in the T's. I really don't care if they impeach him or not. All you got to do is take your ass to the polls next November 2020, and vote against anything that relates to Donald Trump, and that includes the Republican. As I told you last election, vote against anything that has an R beside its name. And I say it purposely because you cannot be human. You cannot be human and treat people the way you do. I was reading an article earlier this morning where doctors showed up at the detention centers in Texas. Because if you haven't seen the tragic story of the boy who died of the flu and he was left on the ground, I mean, how despicable can you be? This is tantamount to what the Palestinians how they're being treated. I saw pictures of babies that had been shot in the stomach. I saw pictures of baby that was buried in concrete rubble after their houses had been bombed. Babies. These people aren't human. And if they'll treat other people like that, what do you think they'll do to black people? Hell, we don't even have to worry about that. We have history to tell us what they will do to black people. Doctors show up at the border because that picture was so tragic, and they brought supplies of vaccines for the flu. And did you know ICE would not even allow them to administer the flu vaccine, although the flu is running rampant? Come on, man. This ain't America. America hasn't always been great, but man, at what point did you stop allowing babies to die? I'm fascinated by these new nativity scenes where they're putting Jesus and the baby Jesus and Mary and Joseph in cages. Because had they been immigrants to America, they would have been caged. So we need Donald Trump out of there. You need to take your butts to the polls next fall. You got to do it. If you've never voted before, now's your time. It's not going to give you a thrill. You're not going to have an orgasm. But you know what's going to happen? It's going to make a difference. Because collectively, we can make change. Individually, we can't. There used to be a movie that came out a long time ago. It was called Band of the Hand. And I believe that was the name of it. And it stuck with me because, I mean, it had the same genre of, somebody coming in to an inner city and, corralling some kids and making them fight for something that was positive. That storyline has been shared in all kinds of movies. But there was one thing that stood out to me, and I saw this years ago. And I even use this when I go out and I speak to people. I talk about you coming together. I talk about fighting as one. And I simply use my hand. And you see, if I simply take my finger, unless I am a karate genius, and I strike you with my finger, I'm not going to do much damage to you with one finger. Maybe two fingers. Whoa! But think about this. What if I take all 5 fingers and I curl them up? That makes a fist. And if I strike you with this fist, I can break your jaw. I can knock you out. In some cases, if I hit you in the right place, I could kill you. Now, what's the point? Is that, see, one finger is an individual. A fist is a collective body that can do damage. Goodbye, Donald. Don't let the doorknob hit you where the dog should have bit you. And all of your Republican cronies. Young people, we need you at the polls. We need you to vote like you're getting Jay-Z tickets. We need you to vote like it's Black Friday. We're going to call it Black Tuesday. We need to get to the polls and vote against this fool and his cronies who have decided to hijack America. And I know, I can hear black, well, it ain't nothing but my America anyway. Yeah, keep thinking that. That's why they keep running roughshod over you. That's why they can take $10 million and throw it away, because you black people don't think it's your money, although you pay taxes more than anybody. Did you know the first time in American history that the rich paid less taxes than the working poor? Did you hear that? Rich people are paying less taxes than the collective body of the working poor and middle class. That's your Republican cronies. That's your man Donald Trump. That's the Republicans. That's Mitch McConnell, Louis Gohmert. You ever see some of those guys and it just even hurts to listen to them? It's like it hurts them to talk, because they have no credibility. Everything that comes out of their head is based on a lie. Everything that comes out of their head is based on a lie. And Democrats aren't any better. I'm for a 10-party system. I'm for the Black Party, the White Party, the Republican Party, the Green Party, the Blue Party, the Purple Party, the Pink Party. I don't care how many it is. But there should not be 2 parties that control the election of presidents in this country. There simply should not be. Because after all, they are part of the same bird. They're part of the same bird. Aren't you the Democratic Party in Arkansas? Yes, you are. How many of y'all going to the casinos in Pine Bluff? If they're like the ones in Hot Springs, I ain't going. $15 a hand for blackjack. Are y'all crazy? Man, I've been gambling a long time. I've been to Vegas, Atlantic City, obviously Tunica. I've been to Biloxi. I've been to just about Reno. I've been to just about every place, California, Los Angeles. I mean, look, they have casinos in Los Angeles, and they're so inconspicuous, you don't even know they're casinos. You drive by them, and what is that? Is that a casino? Oh, okay. I've been some of everywhere to gamble. Every place has a $5 blackjack table. More than one. Hot Springs doesn't. And then tried to give me excuses why they didn't. I said, dude, I won't be back. Not that I'm being cheap. I play blackjack for fun. So, hey, I can start off with $50 and I can play blackjack all night. And I won't lose my 50 either. Anyway. Casinos don't help the community. See Tunica, Mississippi. In fact, it ain't nothing in Tunica now. Anyway. By the way, you know, I've been on this reparations kick. A Swiss historian, well, let me just say this. Swiss launched Committee on Slavery Reparations. Dated December 9th, 2019, so you all can understand the context of this article. A Swiss historian backed by dozens of public figures has launched a committee that makes the case for slavery reparations in the context of Switzerland. The supporters of the Swiss Committee on Slavery Reparations, called SCORES, believe that reparations must be negotiated through dialogue between those who benefited from the transatlantic slave trade and the descendants of the victims. The centuries-old human crime of slavery within the framework of the exploitation of the American colonies by Europe demands recognition as well as non-material and material reparations, argues the group. This also applies to Switzerland, which as a social, economic, and ideological and cultural area participated in and profited from that system from the 16th to the 19th century. Historian Hans Fosler, the spokesman for SCORES, announced the establishment of this committee during a presentation on Monday at the United Nations in Geneva. Now we're making some headway here. Swiss trading companies, banks, city-states, family enterprises, mercenary contractors, soldiers, and private individuals all profited from the slave trade. Specific Swiss links to the slave trade, some of which predate nationhood, are documented on their website, L'Ouverture. For example, between 1719 and 1734, the city-state of Bern, as well as two banking houses, Malakrita and Samuel Muller, held shares in the speculative South Sea Company, which kept slave deposits on Barbados and shipped some 20,000 slaves from Africa to the New World. Slavery also played a role in the establishment of the Switzerland textile industry. The Swiss government, as noted, has always made the case that Switzerland, as a nation state, has never been involved in slavery, nor been a colonial power. Every nation benefited from slavery, and every nation owes reparations. And anyone who says different is a damn fool, even if you are black. That tells me you don't know your history. That tells me you've done no study whatsoever. And I want to applaud Switzerland for bringing that to light at the United Nations, because that's what needs to happen. It has to be a world impetus. The United States is not going to lead on this. The United States will not lead because the United States, they are direct recipients of slave labor. They're not going to lead on this. It's going to take the world to shame them as the world shamed South Africa to end apartheid. And if them grubby-handed Swiss who don't care about nothing but money, if they're willing to take this on, we might have something going here. Me, myself, like I say, I don't really want your money. I just want to open up a business. Give me enough money where I can get my business on solid footing, where I can get some inventory, where I can buy some bulk product, where I can open up a building where I can manufacture and bag my own product. That's all I want. So I'll take the $20,000 or the $50,000 that you're going to give us, and I'll turn it around and provide other people jobs and empower them. I'm not going to go out and buy a Cadillac. I'm not going to go out and buy a house in the white neighborhood. I'm not going to go to the club and party like it's 1999. I'm not going to go to the casinos and bet the house. I'm going to start a manufacturing business for my products. I need about $100,000. By the way, if you out there and you got $100,000 and you want to get in on riprub.com, holler at the black man. Let's talk. Call me up, 615-554-0568. I'm serious as Roebuck. Old joke, by the way. I'm just saying, folks. Thanks to the Swiss, they're leading the way. By the way, Lee Merritt, have y'all been, see, this is what I was afraid of. Y'all do realize that 3 black fathers was murdered within the last month, right? Cameron Lamb in Kansas City, Michael Dean in Temple, Texas, and Demetrius Williams in Marshall, Texas. Now check this out. Not just in the last month, within the last week, 3 black men were killed by police, one on December 2nd, then one on December 3rd, and another on December 5th. Y'all don't even know, right? Because y'all have come, see what has happened now, that this has happened so much that y'all have gotten used to it. Y'all okay. Y'all have bought into the argument, well, they probably should have been doing anything. If you remember when Lee Miller was here last week, and he made the argument that, hey, well, just go home. Just get home. Well, some of these men can't get home. So we're supposed to knuckle under? We're supposed to abdicate our constitutional rights? No, we're not. If more black people stood up and started talking, look, that's the exact same thing they did during the civil rights struggle. When all them marches, those were black people demanding their rights. They didn't go home. They didn't knuckle under. They didn't say, yes, a boss. They said, we've had enough. And now you got black politicians saying, just give in. It ain't gonna hurt. That's why we're in the situation we're in today. That's why 3 black men can be killed within 3 days of one another, and you don't hear a peep from the national media. You don't hear a peep. Some of y'all didn't even know that, did you? And why is it that S. Lee Merritt is the only one that can take these cases? Do we not have any other black lawyers? That's not any shade on Merritt. I'm just simply saying that we ought to have black lawyers lining up behind S. Lee Merritt to give him support. Just like all of those black lawyers were there in the civil rights era. They lined up behind black leaders and said, hey, we're going to protect you legally. March on, black man. March on. Protest on, black woman. Protest. Y'all need to wake up here. This is serious business. This white genetic annihilation thing is real. I didn't understand it when I started reading Neely Fuller and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing and Jawanda Kunjufu years ago back in the 80s. I didn't understand it. I was like, I'm reading this, but it sounds real, but here I am today living it, and it is shocking. Man. 3 black fathers. Last but not least, before we get out of here, I got to cover this. Florida Sheriff's Captain suspended after she's caught on tape instructing officers to act like a white supremacist. I would laugh louder if it wasn't so pathetic. A Florida police captain, by the way, this is a woman. So you think only white men are white supremacists? Some of their women are white supremacists. Look, if a white supremacist has a wife and that wife and they have children together, guess what? The wife is a white supremacist too. Hello. A Florida police captain has been relieved of her command following the release of a shocking audio in which she's heard instructing a deputy to act like a white supremacist and neo-Nazi while investigating an accused murder suspect. Is that what they're teaching in the academy now? Woo, Lord have mercy. What the hell is going on with this country? There's a great, great movie that was one of my favorites from back in the day. And there was a saying, this country needs an enema. Now, although they said town, this country. Give you an example. All these people, look, that claims that Donald Trump is so innocent, Rick Perry, Giuliani, Pence, Pompeo, Mulvaney, Bolton, none of them will testify. This town needs an enema. This is just crazy, man. But as long as you, the people, you know, there's a reason in that preamble that says we the people. It doesn't say the president the people. It doesn't say my state representative the people. It says we. We, that means us, the people. And as long as we allow them to control we, then we will continue to be pitted against one another. That's why they pit blacks, poor whites against poor blacks, and say that, hey, he's getting more than you. While they laugh all the way to the bank. We, the people. We, the people. We, the people. In order to perfect a more perfect union, we, the people. We got to wrap up the show. I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed doing it. I'll be back tomorrow with some crazy, outlandish ideas about how to make black people better, about how to make sure that black people are getting their piece of the pie, about how to make sure that your black children are reading to become self-educated. Because, you know, black people don't read. Let's be real. Most black people simply refuse to self-educate and have become totally opposed to research. Trying to get black people to read anything besides Facebook memes and celebrity gossip will take the use of a gun in most cases. The black race is behind other races because of the refusal to read and gain useful information. So can we please stop ignoring this fact? Being uninformed is not sexy at all. And I don't care how round your butt is and how big your breast is and how sexy your lips are. Being uninformed ain't sexy. Y'all have a great day.
You've been listening to Black Focus, where we discuss our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday afternoon at 1 p.m. on joynetradio.com.
Y'all have a good day. Thanks for listening.